So today, folks, we're going to talk about tactics real estate professionals can use every single day. And I do mean every single day. It's habits and consistency and making sure your to-do list is accurately reflecting what it is you want to get done so that you can maximize your time, maximize your enjoyment out of what it is you get to do, and hopefully maximize your profitability. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. As we go into this, let's get to this program. Many of you saw this last week. This is my personal QR code. Feel free to scan it. I love QR codes on business cards, on flyers. If you've got a listing right now, this is one of the tactics. Make sure you put a QR code everywhere. Let's say you've got a new yard sign. Well, when people are driving by, you know what's hard for them? Picking up the phone and calling you. You know it's easy? A QR code that takes them directly to that listing. You know, we used to do in the olden days, flyers outside of people's houses, and then sometimes other people come by and take all of them. And so that was kind of like the trick-or-treating version for people who weren't very kind. But QR codes still work. And even if you've got a yard sign that you're going to put in someone else's yard, an easy way to do this is to print out, go get an individual QR code for that particular listing, very easy to make a specific URL for it. Print it out on just a regular white piece of paper, you know, maybe half the size of an 8.5 by 10, and then get one of those laminated plastic sheet things, you know, and cut it in half and just slap it right on that sign that you've got in front of somebody else's yard. It takes no money. About 10 minutes of your time max. And I just think it's a great tactic. So that's number one. We've all had to pivot because of everything that's going on in the real estate world. And now, I don't know if you saw the news this morning, but they're saying now rates may not get dropped in June because the jobs report came out so strong in January, February, and March. And because the stock market is doing well, wages have decreased, which is interesting, not by a whole lot, but they have decreased by a small amount. So now people are thinking that maybe those rate hikes are not going to happen until fall. Just letting you know what's going on with that. So since we talked about this last week, how to best contact your customers, your clients, your potential listers, your potential buyers. What works best for you communicating with your people? And the answer is everything. Phone calls, videos, FaceTime chats, texting. Everything works because people are still individuals and they still need your communication in different ways. The big question is today, did you do your 3? Every single day, are you doing 3 outreaches to potential customers or clients so that you remind them of who you are? And this isn't the same thing as a newsletter blast. That's kind of a nice to do thing, but it's not personal. It needs to be personalized. If it isn't you specifically picking up the phone and calling someone, it's an individualized email specific to them. It's you making a video specific to them. It is you texting specific to them. So 3 contact points a day, 3 touches a day with different people. So what have you done in the past week to reach out to your clients, and what worked and what defines what worked? Just think about for a second, what defines what works? When we think about our time, it is so easy in this business to waste a lot of time. We walk into the office, maybe there's nobody who called us the day before, there's no calls to call back. What are we doing to proactively figure out the right action and then figure out if our time was well spent? It's very easy to figure that out from a direct marketing mail piece, what kind of returns we're getting from that. If somebody says, oh, I found you because of your postcard or your flyer or your sign, it's easy to figure that out. But it's the other stuff. It's the things that we don't know where that came from. How do we define what works and how we best spend our time? So again, as we mentioned last week, you are the BLT sandwich. You are the person your clients and customers believe, like, and trust. And they need to believe, like, and trust you because again, most of our clients and customers, their home, the purchase of their own home is the single biggest investment they will ever make. The numbers are still good this week. 66.1% of Americans own their own home right now. That number is lower in California, New York, and Hawaii, where it hovers right around 53%. So when people are considering making this huge investment, and this is an investment that for most people is a 30-year mortgage, and then it's the home they live in for the next 10 to 15 or 20 years, and then they sell that for the equity in it so that they can move to a place where they want to live out the remainder of their lives. This home purchase defines how they get to live the rest of their lives as well. So you are that BLT sandwich. Again, last week we shared the chest of resources. This has in it the leader's blind spot assessment. Many of you did this. If you don't, here's another opportunity to do this. Today, we're going to work through the 12-month business success and accountability planner in a little bit more depth. We're going to go into a few more of the 5-minute solutions for things specifically in the real estate industry that work, especially during difficult times. But this vault, you got that last week. In case you need it again, here's that QR code. And this is going to take you again to that vault of resources. So if you weren't able to do it last week, maybe you were taking notes, maybe you're busy, maybe take a scan of this with your phone and it will take you into that vault of resources, and you can do that leader's blind spot assessment as well as make sure you get those downloads. And this is that leader's blind spot assessment. This is what this looks like. And then this is what these strengths look like. Again, this identifies your superpowers as well as some areas where you might have some blind spots. Many real estate professionals are competitors, they're motivators, they're energizers. They got into this business because they're good with people. They tend to be optimistic, very passionate about what they do if they're a motivator. They tend to get excited about the opportunity to help other people. They're energizers. So they tend to get excited. Sometimes there's some blind spots that come with that when you get excited, because the nature of what you want to do is to help people, but sometimes it means we're a little thin on some of the details, or we make our to-do list so big that we don't get things done. Anyway, it's very helpful to identify these blind spots for all of us, because let's say you're a motivator and you've got a client who's an analyzer. So analyzers tend to ask a lot of questions. Well, what's the neighborhood like, and what's the schools like, and what are the scores like, and what's the backyard butt up to, and where's the natural resources, and what kind of water system does it have? And they're asking all these questions. And all you want to know is, do you like the house or not? Is this something I can get more information on for you, or are we just wasting time? And if they're analyzers, in order for them to decide whether or not they like the house or not, they have to have the answers to all these questions, because they don't know yet if they like it or not. Other people, if you're a motivator, you walk in and you say, oh, I love this window, I love this thing, but I don't like that, and I'm done. They can figure that out very quickly, perhaps, again, based on what kind of strength they have. The competitors may want to make sure they're getting the best deal. The peacemakers may tell you they love every single house when they don't like any of them. So just knowing what kind of client you're working with can sometimes help you with being the right person to find the right fit for them. So again, if you know what type you are and you want to share that in the chat, that would be fantastic. We can discuss that. For many people, they say it only took me a few minutes to do that, and it was accurate. And I found that as a competitor, occasionally my desire to tell my clients what I think they should do based on years and years of experience can sometimes be intimidating to my clients. They sometimes think, oh, you're coming along a little bit too strong, and I'm not sure I want that much information from you. I need to be able to process all of this on my own. So if you want to put which one you are in the chat as we go through this, that would be fun. And then let's get to some of the tactics. Very specifically, we wake up every single day with the purpose, the intent in our heart to help people find the best possible home, the best possible real estate, maybe it's office space for them. We wake up every single day with that intent in our heart. So that is our purpose. Our purpose is to help people achieve the American dream, American success. Again, this can be commercial real estate, it can be residential, but this is maybe the purpose we have. You've got your own specific purpose and you've got your own mission statement, but knowing very clearly what our mission is, what our purpose is, helps us identify our vision and then the actions to take with that. So thanks, Patty, for sharing that you're an analyzer. So you're that person who asks a lot of questions. You like to know all the details, and you can remember all the details. You can remember what the contract deals were from deals that went through 5 years ago, and you remember all the specifics, the people, the house, and in my case, maybe I might remember the dog, but you've got all the numbers in your head and you remember. And that's why for you, the knowing the inventory is a real gift, because you're going to ask all the questions. The property is just going to differentiate itself in your head and it's going to jump out at you. That's fantastic. So as we figure out what our specific mission is and what our vision looks like, it maybe is helpful to revisit our vision plan. So what do we actually do and who do we serve now? So for many people, they said, well, a few months ago, they said, I serve buyers and sellers. And now they might be thinking, I just serve sellers, or I just serve baby boomers. For many people, defining our area of specialty. Now, it doesn't mean you don't work with other people, but it means you're giving someone a reason to work with you rather than someone else. So when I ask real estate professionals, who do we serve now? I'm really asking, who is your best avatar for a client? Who best benefits by working with you? Not necessarily where you can make the most money, not where you can make the most commission, not what's the easiest deal. It's who benefits most from working with you. And that's a very different question. So if you know you are extremely patient with first-time home buyers, that is a huge gift. If you know you are very patient working with senior citizens, that is a huge gift. If you've got military experience and you understand the VA loan process, that is a huge gift. So think about the people who best benefit from your gifts, and I do use them as gifts. So maybe you are just starting out and you don't necessarily have a huge client database, but maybe you're friends with a lot of people at the gym. You specialize in helping people who love to work out find places, homes where it's very conducive for them to get in great workouts. So that might mean making sure that people are close to parks or close to rec centers or close to gyms, places that feature triathlons. Whatever your interests are, you can turn that into a gift for someone else. So then let's think about, who do we serve in the future? Who is our best client in 5 years, in 10 years, and in 20 years? And some of you are thinking, Mary, I'm not sure I'm going to be in this business in the next 20 years. Well, I have to tell you, my real estate buddy over on the island of Kauai in Hawaii, she is 89 and she is still in the business. And people still go to her because she's been doing it for so long. She knows everything. Some of these properties she's bought and sold several times. So we have to think about longevity and who are we serving in the future? And then what major changes are we going to see in the future? Right now, the inventory is very low. So a few things that lead us in that general direction for a change. That means because the inventory is low and because baby boomers have the golden handcuffs on their financing, they're not downsizing because they can't afford to get another loan at the 2.5% that they've got now. If they do look at downsizing, it's actually going to cost them more money in terms of a monthly payment. So they're simply not putting their homes on the market. So fewer homes. What this means is that for first-time home buyers, many of them are having to look at new developments. They're having to look at new builds. And that might mean developers might be, instead of expanding the square footage of the average home, because since 1972, we've doubled the average square footage in the average home, they may have to start thinking about smaller homes. Right now, in your area of the world, you may be seeing this, that it's easy to find a single family home, but it's not easy to find a small single family home in a nice area. So developers might be looking at shifting from the multifamily plexes to more individualized single family homes, but smaller square footage. We may be seeing, of course, more energy efficient homes as they grow in popularity, but it's got to be cost effective. So that's part of the issue right now with new builds, is there's You can do all kinds of whiz bang things and you can make your house a smart house. But if people can't afford the initial purchase of it anyway, then that's not going to matter as much as people might think. So major changes we're going to see as well. As the baby boomers retire and they do eventually downsize, they will be dictating some of the market shifts. They want, like a lot of the younger generation, they want to be able to move to a place where it's easy for them to walk to amenities, to walk to restaurants, to walk to bars. This is why the villages are so popular. Also, other reasons that you're laughing about right now. So, how will these changes affect our purpose? It means we've got to be very responsive to what's happening in the market, and we have to be on the cutting edge so we can help educate our clients. And the legacy that we want to leave, well, we want to be known for a few things. I always wanted to be known as someone who worked with clients, and clients 100% felt that I was on their side, that they felt like I was in it for their best self and their best interest and not my own self-interest. And so sometimes that means I would say things like, you should not be buying a house right now. You should be saving money for the next 3 years and saving as much as you possibly can so that you can get that down payment. You could get a house right now, but you're going to be unhappy. You're going to be eating ramen noodles and peanut butter and macaroni and cheese for the next 10 years. You're going to hate the house. You're going to hate me. You're going to hate everything. And you're going to regret doing this. But how do you say that in a way that they come to that conclusion while being an honest broker and having their best interests? And that simply takes time. So whatever legacy you want to be known for, I want to be known as somebody who's just crazy patient with first-time home buyers. I want to be known as somebody who really goes to bat for their clients if it's in a specific area that sometimes is a little bit challenging. What do you want to be known for? And then if there were no constraints, and by no constraints, I mean, if you had all the marketing dollars, if you had all the time, if you had a virtual assistant who is 100% devoted to you, what would you do with those resources? And how many more people could you help? What more could you do? And then from that, we craft our vision. And so our vision might look like something along the lines that combines our purpose and combines our gift and combines where we want to go. So those three components, but is also a little bit scary. I am the premier real estate professional for people who are downsizing in Orange County. I specialize in people with pets, whatever that looks like. And so be as specific as you want. And then to achieve that, a tactic I have for you is to then craft that vision as a blog article. And you're thinking, well, Mary, I'm supposed to talk about me? No, that's not what I mean. Have a series of questions and answers that lead someone into the direction that highlight your superpowers, your gifts. So for example, it's an article that starts with a quote. I'm 72 years old and I live in Orange County and I'm thinking about downsizing, but I don't know where to start. What can I do? Well, if you're that person who is specializing in people who are downsizing, that's exactly where you want to be responding to that question. So you make up the question and you put that quote at the top of an article and then you write the article. Dear Joe Bob, you're right. At 72, it can be really hard to think about moving out of the home you've been living in for 42 years. This is the home where you raised your family. This is a home where you saw your kids grow up. You know your neighbors, you know the schools, you're part of the church or the synagogue. I understand it's really hard. I specialize in folks who have these challenges, and you might be experiencing some of these challenges. So you then list the challenges specifically that you help people with so that they look at you and say, oh, he or she, they are the answer to my specific real estate need. And that's how you craft your differentiating vision, action, and mission statement from everybody else's. That's how you break out. So if you're looking for an article to send out to folks, this is a great thing to send out to people who are in that target demographic, right? So that's one way to use the 5-minute vision plan. And then we shared last week the 5-minute business growth plan. So I just want to walk through this with you because some of these things as we walk through will jump out at you and you think, oh, that's maybe one of my top 3. What you're looking for here are the top 3 areas that if you focused on these 3 areas, it would return the best bang for your buck. So let's start with, we have a business plan that accurately describes our business. Again, if it's all up here and it's not written down, it's very, very difficult for you to take some kind of option, some kind of strategy, because you simply don't have it written down anywhere. So when you have free time, you refer back to that business plan to make sure that you are in fact moving in the right direction. Again, it's very easy to waste time. We have a strategic vision for our business that's driving us toward future success. Where do you want to be in 3 years? Where do you want to be in a year? Do you have a revenue goal? Do you have a number of closes goal? I would hope you would. Maybe 2 closes a month, maybe a certain amount of money every year. Maybe it's an increase from last year. Maybe it's to be able to do more educational programs. Maybe it's to be able to do more outreach. Whatever your strategic vision is, then we map out the goals that fall under that. Is everyone clear on our goals for moving the organization forward? And by everybody, sometimes that just means you. Are you clear on what needs to happen? We know our break-even points as well as our total revenue, total cost, and our profits. So again, our total revenue is everything we're making. That's our gross. Every single penny we make, that's what we're talking about. And I'm just talking in the real estate world for this. If you've got side hustles on the side or you've got an Etsy business, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking just real estate. So what is your total revenue? And then subtract out your costs. And many people consider there's 2 different kinds of costs. There's implicit costs and explicit costs. If you are owner supplied resources, that's your time, things that you're not billing anybody for, that's an implicit cost. If you show up to somebody's house with your power washer and you power wash the driveway, that's not counted anywhere as a cost. But if you had to pay somebody to do it, maybe it will cost $100. That's what I mean. So many people in the real estate business are very good at mapping out their explicit costs, things that they have to put on a credit card. That's easy to track, but the implicit costs are a little bit more difficult. So when we think about our break even, we tend to only consider our explicit costs because those are what shows up in our accounting. And then let's make sure that that break even point looks like it's in the right direction. So if our total revenue is increasing and our total costs are increasing, that's fine. But if our total costs are increasing much faster or at a much higher rate than our total revenue, that might be a problem. Let me give you an example. Let's say you've got a restaurant and it's your favorite restaurant and they've been in business for a long time, but it's a mom and pop restaurant. It's barely the size of your kitchen. And the prices are great and they work really well with the community and everybody knows them and the whole family works there. Well, they decide they are going to expand the restaurant. So what they do is they decide they're going to buy the property next to them and they do this big remodel. And then what they do next is they hire a bunch of people and then they hire a chef, and the chef's not as good as mom when mom was cooking. And all of a sudden their prices have to go up because now they've expanded. So their total revenue is increasing, but their total costs have increased by a whole lot more. That's what I mean. So we have to make sure that our profit margin, which is that difference between our total revenue and our total cost, is where we need it to be to run a business. So do we have systems in place for actively generating, receiving, and thanking referrals? Now, the real estate industry is better than anybody else when it comes time to referrals, but what do you do about the referral that closed a year ago? Do you still send a thank you note to the person who gave you that referral? It's an easy thing to do. Yeah, I just remember that about a year ago, we closed that deal with that lovely client you sent over to me, and I'm really grateful for the referral. Or thanks so much for trusting me with your parents on their selling of their home. It was such an honor to work with them a year ago. Thank you again. Use anniversaries for this. And it's just such a nice and easy thing to do. Do we have systems in place to show customers our appreciation for their business and not just when we close the sale? Do we have systems in place for getting honest feedback? I don't know about you, but I don't really like honest feedback. I want to be told that I'm smart and funny and that what I say is helpful. I want all that. I don't really want people to say, your jokes aren't funny, we don't like your shoes. I don't want that. Most of us don't. But it might be hard to hear, but if your business isn't where you'd like it to be, asking for some honest feedback may be the way to go. Is our website easy to navigate? No, not for you, for potential clients. And by easy to navigate, if you go on someone else's phone and you type in criteria for finding a real estate agent that describes you, do you pop up on a perfect stranger's device? Because on your own computer, it knows you want to go to your website. So it's going to flag you. It's going to put you at the top of the list. That's how the spiders work. So try to do this on an incognito window or on someone else's device and see where you pop up. Use different search tools and keywords and see where you pop up. Is your website mobile friendly? The algorithms change about every 90 to 100 days. So make sure your websites are constantly being updated so that when people do find your website, you come up in a screen that's readable. Is our social media updated consistently and linked to our website? Folks, this is one of the easiest ways possible to make sure that your website is getting refreshed with fresh content, invigorating content, and people are seeing updates from you. Just link your LinkedIn, link your Instagram, link your YouTube. But that also means making sure that your Instagram page is about real estate and not about, your cat, unless your cat is part of your real estate marketing. Can our website capture customer contact information? This is a tricky one. Can it? Yes. Should it all the time? Not always. A friend of mine had a website that he thought was just doing great because he was capturing all these great emails. But the problem is once it got you, it would keep asking you for your email. So he would get this, he thought he was getting all these great hits, and it would just be a handful of people who were using his site for a few things or referencing him. It wasn't doing him really any good, and it was annoying other people. If people feel they have to sign in sometimes and then they feel like you're going to stalk them, they might not sign in. The downside to that is there are people who really do want you to call them, and you need to be able to get their information. So that you have to figure out what would be a good way to do that. Maybe offer folks a really good lead generation, magnet, and then ask if they want to opt in and ask if they want your contact. Do you have trusted advisors to keep you on track, such as a corporate advisor, a business coach, a board of directors? I have a mastermind group. Some of you have mastermind groups, or your organization can certainly do mastermind groups where people get together and they share best practices. My team is allowed to tell me when I'm on the wrong path and tell me when I'm chasing the wrong squirrels. Do we devote resources on professional training for the team? I love it when real estate professionals get together in a room because I always learn something, and I hope you all do too. It's so important to continue the education and stay up to date on everything that's going on in this industry. Does everybody on our team know how to take great care of our customers? Sometimes people will say that they do not get enough response back from their real estate professionals. It's the number one complaint. They say, I don't hear from them often enough. My house has been listed for a week. I've heard nothing. Now, there may be no activity, but you've probably been doing things. Hey, I had 3 listings or 3 scheduled showings this week, 2 canceled, and they say they're going to come by next week. I'll reschedule that. 1 looks like they might be good for Friday. Here's what the feedback was. Or I've just done this, or I've taken pictures, or we've done this. Help them see that you're working on their behalf and make sure they feel cared for. Sometimes that is different from them being cared for, but they should feel cared for. And do we follow up with our clients the way we should? And this is the number one area, I think, where most individual agents, whether it's real estate, insurance, whatever kind of agent you are, you can probably follow up better. I know I can do a better job with follow-up. I think most people probably can. So what does follow-up look like? And what works for our clients in terms of follow-up? Providing value, providing information. My friend Gina Schreck, when the whole online explosion happened, she was first out of the gate with doing great work on social media. And she said, be educational, be entertaining, and be informative before you even start to sell. And I thought that was really, really good advice. And I think follow-up is the same way. Be entertaining, educational, informative, make it so that people see value when they see your name. So the follow-up plan. If just a highlight a few of these, all of these 5-minute plans are in that vault that you all received, and it's in where that QR code is. I'm still a fan of a handwritten note. I use robots now to do that when I'm on the road, but the nice thing about it is they know it's an individual note, which is nice. And send out cards is one of them. Handwritten is another one. I don't have any particular pros and cons for either one of them. I do like to forward an article or a video that might be of business interest to other people. Sometimes if I have an idea of where they are in their life with my clients, I might send them some kind of book. I love books. A lot of my clients do too. Some people don't, so that doesn't work for them. But a business-oriented book or something that's dealing with a challenge they might be having can be helpful. Connect on LinkedIn, but not just connect. If you're going to connect with somebody on LinkedIn, actually make it a point for a couple weeks. If you really want to do business with them, follow what they're saying, follow what they're posting, make comments on what they're doing, actually interact with them. Ask people if you can add them to your outreach or your newsletter. Asking is better than assuming. Find someone you both know and start an online conversation with the three of you. And that sometimes works if it's someone you know very well and you're trying to get to know that third person. You can always pick up the phone and call people. Yes, I know, actually using the phone, it's a horrifying idea, but it still works. And even though when you see someone calling you, you're like, oh no, I have to pick up the phone. After you talk to somebody for 5 minutes, you probably feel better. So think about that for just a second. You're just talking to them for 5 minutes and you're making their day, and find a way to make it better. That can be helpful. Some of you have shared with me that you send short videos. That's fantastic. Sometimes a short voice memo attached to an email or text can be helpful. Sometimes a link for some helpful resource information. And then what I do after programs a lot of times, and if you did the Leaders Blind Spot Assessment, I say almost always because sometimes I miss one or two when I'm traveling, but I'll send a note and say, hey, what did you think? Were you able to access the resources? Here's the link to have those resources again in case you missed it. What can I do to make sure you're getting the resources I promised? And then offering a short discovery conversation or consultation. The best real estate agents I know give away their knowledge for free all the time. If someone says, oh, I've got a question on a 1031, everybody goes, oh, you got to go talk to Patty on that. She knows all that. And then Patty graciously picks up the phone and gives them advice. And then when they need that expert again, they call Patty. And there's a difference between taking advantage of Patty and considering her that expert. So that then when you actually do it, you say, well, Patty, who do I work with when I do that 1031? And if I'm going to do a DST, who do I work with? And now Patty has the opportunity to refer her friends. So being an expert in the field is, I think, wildly valuable in this industry. And then just inviting people for coffee. Virtual coffees are also a thing. Sometimes you don't really want to. Well, if you're me, you don't want to necessarily get all the hair and all the clothes and all that and then drive. Where I live in Colorado, I'm 30 minutes to an hour away from everything. So me driving in for coffee may not work, but you know what works? A 15-minute coffee, sitting in my house with the dog and being able to talk to people. That's really valuable. So inviting somebody for coffee doesn't have to be in person, but it is still nice. So I hope some of these follow-up ideas might be helpful for you. I'm just going to talk for about another 8 minutes, and then we'll take some questions. I want to talk a little bit more about managing time. And this is where I think time management deserves a deeper dive than most of us probably allow. You've got to have a strategic plan. You've got to have a plan on how you're going to spend your day, how you're going to spend your priorities, how you're going to achieve your priorities, how you're going to attack your goals, and have habits and routines every single day that contribute to that. If you're really organized, you've probably got a system in place, but have a system, get a system, start a system. In the vault, there is the 5-minute productivity sheets. That's every day, your to-do list, your appointments, the calls you have to make, and your follow-up. For any kind of agent, I think it's very healthy to just have a plan so that when you wake up in the morning and you aren't really sure if you have any clients that day or any showings or a place to go, you still take the right action. And then plan to work and work the plan. That's that productivity sheet. Use your calendar and stick to it. If you know you need an hour to Work on your website, then put that on the calendar and start working on it like it was a meeting. Schedule the calls and meetings and outreach and content development. These are the things, if you know you've got to do them, schedule them, get them done. Many people try to guess their way through the day and they hope they get things done. And then they're invariably surprised at the end of the day when they got nothing done. And it is because they wandered down rabbit holes. They went and looked something up. And folks, this happens to me too. Somebody asked me for some resources. And I said, sure, right on it. Wanted to get it right back to them. So in the process of finding those resources, I found something I was looking for another client. Kind of in the back of my mind, wasn't a priority. I was like, oh, I should follow up on that. And then I wandered around all on my computer. And about an hour later, I was like, what was I starting on? Folks, it happens to all of us. Without a list, I would be lost. So I encourage list making. Prioritize the tasks. And in case you're wondering, the first thing to do every single day is to do that thing that is going to generate revenue. And please know what's distracting for you. I'm wildly addicted to any kind of animal video, and that leads me to more animal videos. So no, I can't do those during the workday. I'm not allowed to do that. That's a bad idea. Be rigorous about your work time. Plan to be productive for whatever hours you think you need. So for me, I know that's 8 to 10 hours a day, and stick to it. Don't wait till you feel like doing something. If you wait till you feel like doing something, chances are it won't happen. It's like writing that paper sometime before the night before it's due. You're not going to feel like it. So just put it on the calendar and get it done. Every day review what you have to do to stay on track for yourself and for your clients. And if you owe other people things, like it's a referral, make sure that that other agent who referred you is getting regular updates, and not from your office, from you. This is all relationship driven. And if you want more referrals, you got to earn them. Be very consistent about working the parts of the day that generate the most return on your time. Certain parts of the day you might be better with clients. Certain parts of the day you might just have low energy. Certain parts of the day, if you think about meeting with a client at 8 o'clock at night and you're an early morning person, oh, that just sounds exhausting. But if you're a night person, meeting with somebody for coffee at 7 a.m. is just the worst. So know when your peak times are and try to work around that. And make outbound phone calls, past, present, future clients every single day, every single day. These are my 4 rules for getting things done, and be ruthless. Do it right away if you can do it in less than 5 minutes. Delay it if you need to schedule it so that you can focus on doing that at that time. If you can delegate it to somebody else, if you can hire a virtual assistant, if you can hire somebody on Upwork or Fiverr or something like that, because it's something you can easily delegate, or if it's something that you're not good at. Folks, we're not all good at everything. I'm horrible at making graphics. I have to delegate that. And they come out better. And it's better when I don't micromanage the people who do it. And then delete things. Decide things don't need to be done by anybody, and simply get it off your list. So some resources for you. I put this together. Some of you have seen, it's on the National Association of Realtors site. There's 100 more ways realtors are worth every penny of their compensation. This came out last November. A few other fun things I have for you: how to prevent burnout and reclaim your health for real estate professionals, 27 ways to market yourself as a real estate agent, and a few more goodies are all with this 179 ways of ways you walk through. The 179 ways from the NAR walks people through what agents do. And in case you need a grid, I suggest you look at the 179 ways, because it maps through what I used to call this the battle damage assessment, the BDA, the before, during, and the after. Before a listing or a sale, during, and then afterward. And that 179 ways, I think, is solid gold. It's the best checklist out there. If you are just looking for a quick and easy place to find all this, you can go to productiveleaders.com/real estate, and it is all just thrown into that totally open vault just for you, just to find just to have an easy place for you to reference those resources. So you can take a picture of that, or just remember that, productiveleaders.com/real estate. This 179 ways, in case you haven't seen that before, here's the pre-listing activities. And then in the it's done in sections. I just love it. In the 105 more ways realtors are worth every penny, it walks you through again how this works. And I love it. It's what a listing appointment might look like. It's a really good checklist. And once you get an offer, what happens next? And for many people, especially if they're on the fence about hiring an agent, this oftentimes, that 179 steps, I just love that, because you can give that to them and say, this is what I actually do. And then they say, oh, maybe I should really think about working with a professional. Are you a contract expert? Are you an inspection expert? Probably not. Okay, well, here's a whole bunch of other things that you need to be aware of. The home inspection part, the appraisal part, the process for closing, all of these. I just think this is such a great thing. Oh, Marianne, thank you so much for saying that you used the 179 steps this morning. And I just think this is the neatest thing. I wish they'd had that back when I was an agent, because we're having to make up our own checklists. And I love one of these. I just love so much. And I'm just going to highlight this. Number 164, double check all tax, homeowners association dues, utilities, and prorations. And folks, I love my escrow teams, but I also do the math. I love the math. Not everybody does. And I get my escrow partners, I get them to sit down with me and walk me through every single thing. So I love this 179 steps. Okay, so as we wrap up here, what can you do as a real estate professional? Watch your own investments. Many of you have real estate investments. Make sure, again, you're looking at your break-even points with those, with your overall revenues and costs for your real estate business, as well as perhaps your landlord business. Know your profits and your losses. If you need a quick and easy profit and loss sheet, it's at theproductiveleaders.com/free. That's all there. Practice solid business practices. And that sounds redundant, except you all know agents who don't. So don't be one of them. Communicate with your clients, communicate, and then over communicate with them, and then communicate some more until they say, I only need to hear from you once a day. That is what people need, especially during times of uncertainty or change. They need more communication more often and with more specificity. And that's you, because you're the BLT sandwich. And then create partnerships with other professionals. And that includes absolutely other agents. Create great partnerships where you say, hey, I know we're both spending a lot of time in this particular neighborhood. Would you like to sometimes work together and cover each other? Like, let's work cooperatively. I love that. And then the 12 months of business growth, I shared this with you before. This is where every single month you map out your top 5 goals for the month, what you're going to do more of this month, what you're going to do less of this month. Sometimes I just put down, I am going to waste less time. And then what does that look like if I waste less time? And then what do I resolve to delegate or outsource? What am I going to streamline this month? What am I going to complete this month? And again, map out just for the month. You want to leave something to do for the other months, but be reasonable about your goals, but make sure these are things you really want to be doing. And then the second page of the monthly accountability is whether or not there's something you need to resolve. What 3 people can you contact for advice? So maybe you've got a new project coming on and you should probably be talking to some other people. Who does that need to be? And then make it easy for them to take your phone call. Maybe ask for someone to introduce you, or maybe send them a text and just say, hey, I'd like 5 to 7 minutes of your time. And then reach out to potential decision makers or clients. Past clients would also like to hear from you. Just how's it going? They want to hear from you. Remember, they like you, they trust you, they want to hear from you. And then grade the month. What could have made the month better? What are you grateful for? And then what did you learn? So takeaways and giveaways. We always love the takeaways. I have new giveaways for you today, just because you've stuck through this for 45 minutes. We talked a little bit about the new book, the Stop Procrastinating Tomorrow book. We now have the full fillable workbook and the 5-minute stop procrastination plan. You can just go directly to grab this at productiveleaders.com/stop procrastinating. And we've added in the 90-day business boot camp jumpstart. We added in the 5-minute quick start, stop procrastinating, and we added in the science of why people procrastinate. So I just wanted to give you an extra bonus. And with that, I'm going to stop screen share and I will take questions if anybody has any questions. Thank you all so much for being here today.